What's good, everybody? This episode of the podcast is sponsored by DistroKid. They are the go-to for digital music distribution and the easiest way for musicians to get their music onto Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, TikTok, YouTube, and more. They offer unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of their earnings, getting your music onto platforms and into stores 10 to 20 times faster than any other distributor. They help with cover song clearance, automatic splits, and they offer all kinds of tools and templates to help you get the most visibility for your releases. I dig this company and appreciate their business model that offers more features and tools than any other distributor while doing it at the most affordable price for solo artists, bands, DJs, studio artists, and any other creators that are making music or producing music in their home, and they offer label services as well. They've got 3 different tiers that they offer to creators that start as low as $22.99 a year. That's just $1.92 a month. And even their top tier is only $7.50 per month. And the best part about DistroKid sponsoring the podcast is they are offering Dan Cable Presents listeners 30% off their first year of service with DistroKid, making their affordable prices even cheaper for you. I will put that discount link in the episode notes. It will also be in my Instagram bio. Big shout out to DistroKid for sponsoring this podcast for more than 3 years now. Much appreciated. Now let's get into the episode.
Look down at the
What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dan Cable Presents podcast. Thank you for tuning into the program once again. If this is your first time listening, thanks for checking out the show. You can find fresh episodes coming at you on Tuesdays. And if you want to help support this thing in a free way, you can do so by clicking subscribe on iTunes, clicking write a review, giving the podcast 5 stars if you feel like it is deserving of so, and that will help propel this thing into the tops of those iTunes charts, giving it more visibility on the national and international levels, helping strangers find the podcast. Just a great way to contribute to the growth and sustainability of this thing. Share the podcast with a friend if you're not listening on Apple. Give it 5 stars on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube if you're watching the episodes on there. Appreciate everybody that's taking the time to do those things. And I'm back from tour. I just got back from the airport like an hour or 2 ago. Feeling a little crazy. Had a lot of coffee on the airplane ride. So yeah, things are feeling a little weird, but I'm excited to be back in town. Had an incredible October and November out on the road with Noah and Abby Gunderson. Just a really special time. One of the coolest tour managing gigs that I've ever had the opportunity to do, and just a special time out on the road with the both of them. So can't thank them enough for being so warm and welcoming to me, and just made my job very easy out there. And it was just amazing to get to hear them play music every single night for almost 2 months now. So I'm back from that, and I am stoked to share episode 432 with one of my best friends, Isabeau Waia'u Walker, one of my favorite people to hang with, and one of my favorite singer-songwriters in the game. She just put out a brand new record called Heavyweight, which I had the pleasure of being around for the making of with she and her bandmates at Ryan Oxford's studio here in Portland. It was a very special experience for me, and just very grateful to know her and have had the pleasure of getting to spend so much time with her these last couple years. This is a pretty long chat, so I'm going to try and not get too wordy in this intro so that you can just enjoy the conversation. This is Isabeau's 3rd appearance on the podcast, and it is also one of my favorite episodes I've ever done. I feel like it just really kind of really captures this authentic representation of Isabeau and I's day-to-day conversations. It had its goofy moments and tender moments, and very stoked that we got to jump on the mics together once again and talk about her new record, where she's at with songwriting, and a lot more packed into this episode. If you love her music as much as I do, please pre-order the vinyl for Heavyweight. Stream the album wherever you listen to music. Share it with a friend. And if you live in the Portland, Oregon area, come out to the Showdown on December 7th for the Heavyweight album release show. I hope to see you there. And to the Noise Boys, Isabeau's band, I love you guys. Thank you for always treating me as just another member of the band and giving me the opportunity to observe you all making this record and be along for the ride. All the links for Isabeau and her new record, Heavyweight, will be in the episode notes. Hope you enjoy this chat. And to kick off episode 432, this is a track called 1 Week Out from that Heavyweight record. Now let's do the damn thing.
We're both sweaty boys.
You know? We both have temperature control issues, you know?
Alexander
Just
does
blasting
too.
the air.
His hands were like melting. Sorry, I shouldn't bring someone into it who's not here to defend himself. We're sweaty people.
Yeah,
We
I
are.
am a sweaty person. Unfortunately, I always want the air on.
Same.
Air in a hoodie over everything, you know?
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. Speaking of hoodies, good segue. It was very cold the first time I met you.
Oh my gosh. The open mic in the brewery?
Oregon City, was it called Oregon City Brewery? Probably not.
No, it was like
It was in Oregon City.
the Feckin?
The
Not-
Feckin.
Not the
Not the Firkin
Firkin.
Tavern, but the
Feckin.
Feckin Brewing.
Brewing or brewery.
I think they had axe throwing there or something outside.
Yeah, but like not the gentrified. I guess it's all, but not like the uniform axe throwing. But you get a separate room
Yeah.
and color coded. This was like an actual stump outside.
Yeah.
With beer drunk dudes
Yeah.
hollering and throwing.
It's pretty wild to have that at a bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember it was really cold and
It was really cold.
people bought hoodies from the spot.
That's smart on their part.
It's good marketing, but
I just remember my guitar, like the strings being impacted, the tuning being impacted by the cold. It was cold.
I didn't know that you were having a tuning issue.
Oh.
But
I was.
that was the first time I saw you play music, and now we're here 8 years later or so, which is very wild.
It's good to be your friend.
Likewise, it's been a joy to have you in my a part of the life journey.
It's mutual.
But I feel like your songs still hit me the same as they did that day. Like I was so just struck by your music that day, even at that open mic, and it has not stopped since then.
Thanks, Dan.
Just constantly blown away by your songwriting, and almost like in a not even as a shot at you, but I'm always I'm just
Bring
like
it.
I'm always surprised like that you just continue to find ways to write these tunes, and they're like continuously they get better, and it's like kind of like I don't know, I just don't know how you do it.
I'm really relieved that you feel this way. This would be a really scary place for you to be like,
So let me tell you that I'm actually not very into the music.
It's been like a sharp decline
Yeah.
in appreciation.
But I like even like last year, you and I, we went, or maybe it was, I guess it was almost 2 years ago now when we went on that West Coast run of shows for you. And that was kind of the first time that I got to start hearing the music that has ended up being the tunes on Heavyweight, the record that is, I guess, out now. If people
Out
are
now.
listening to this now, Heavyweight out now.
Wherever you listen to music.
But you played a lot of the stuff that's on the record,
That's
or at
right.
least like 3 or 4 of the tunes. Like that's when you really started playing like All My Friends and Better by You, and I don't know,
Am I laughing yet?
yeah, you definitely Am I Laughing Yet? Maybe a couple other ones, but yeah, I just remember being out on the road with you for that run of shows, and just like I was just like, man, I can't believe these songs are so good, and
Oh, man.
just resonated so heavy, and I was just like, man, I can't believe that you just continue to like. It's like every song I hear you play, I'm just blown away by, like
Blown to pieces.
blown to pieces. But even now, like you've started to like show some of the newer tunes that you've been working on, and you'll just play them for the first time. I'm like, she did it again. She gone and did it again.
She did it again.
So-
You just find out that I'm stealing someone else's body of work.
That would
That would be so disappointing.
yeah.
I'm not, and I'm very relieved that you feel that way. Not just because you're my friend, because I think that you, as my friend, I've felt, sorry, I'm sitting too far away. I felt encouraged by you as an artist, but now working with you in a more direct way is in management, I think it's always been my dream to work. If I had a choice, I wanted to work with people who I didn't have to dupe into thinking I was worth their time.
Yeah.
Like I just don't have any extra energy, and maybe now not even the desire to like fight for someone's affection in that way. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
not. If that was the case, then I was like, then I'm guessing we're not the right team.
Yeah.
So I think relief is always like when you're like, this is a good song. I'm like, I'm so relieved that you feel that way, because I don't have it in me to pretend so that to try to get that approval.
No,
Yeah.
it's very easy to like champion what you're doing. It always has been. Like,
Thanks, Dan.
you're truly like,
Even in that brewery though, because I feel like I don't remember it. I was probably a little outside of my body at that season. What year was that?
it was 2017, if I am correct.
Mm-hmm.
At the earliest, it was 2016 because I looked back to the first time you did this podcast, which was
Yeah.
like at Mountain Air Studios,
Yeah.
and that was July of 2017. And I feel like we met that year,
Yeah.
earlier that
Okay.
year, and just kind of kept up with each other somehow, like
Yeah.
showing up to each other's things.
Mm-hmm. You had the beard.
Yeah, I had the big dumb beard.
You were managing another band or two.
Yeah.
No. I just don't remember. I know I did that. I remember the event, but I'm trying to think if I could recall even how I was feeling about my songs then. It was probably like a year or two into when I was doing more open mics.
Yeah.
So I was feeling a lot more comfortable taking that risk of playing for strangers and knowing it was a high likelihood that you go in, you get really vulnerable, and then it meant a lot to you, but it meant nothing to anyone else. I felt like I was getting that muscle of like, this is for others, but there's a chance that you play and then you're just like forgettable. And like, can you keep showing up and doing it? So what a gift that you showed up to one of those kind of things and that we actually stuck together through that. Because I don't think I anticipated that those would be spaces where I'd build a connection like this.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I mean?
sure.
I was just going in to like
likewise.
practice and be like, here, do a scary thing.
And that was like at a time where I was like, I showed up to play music that night. It wasn't like I was there to like
Wait, did you
scout
play?
out talent. I played like last, I think, that night maybe.
Did I miss it?
I don't know. It was so long. That's also like one of those things, like as far as what you're saying, as far as like it can be maybe like forgettable for other people, especially when there's 20 people on the list and everybody's like playing a couple songs and maybe the open mic lasts 4 hours because so many people showed up, and you know, not everybody sticks around for the whole thing or whatever, but within that like context of a bunch of people playing, you are the person who stood out to me, and I knew like a handful of people that played that night before going to that open mic. There was people I was familiar with, like Shane is the one that was hosting, and Crystal played, Evan Nat played, because I know Evan went with me that night, and you were like the person that like stepped up, and I was like, oh shit, like what is everybody else doing here?
I'm just sitting at my table too, doodling on a napkin, usually to like find ways to not spin out in my head and decide like this was a bad idea. Because you go into it knowing like there's a chance. I would often go alone, or my friend Nicole would come with me, and those open mics they just require so much courage that sometimes by the end of the night, like you said, there's 20, 30 people who are signed up and everyone is hoping for a shot to like play their songs. But by the end of the night, I'm like, people are tired.
Yeah.
The people running the venue and the sound and the bartenders, everyone just looks so unamused.
Yeah.
And you get up there like, hi, I'm going to play a couple songs.
Here's my precious vulnerable songs.
Or that time I recently played the Portland Songwriters week-long songwriting challenge.
Yeah.
They ended it with an open mic, and they had a few of us who did like a featured songwriters in the round, and it was I remember making a comment about how welcoming and organized, and I mean this in a kind way, like tame, like, and I mean that in a like what they ought to be, but it was just such a great place to start taking those risks, and not like standing in line. Like I would rush back from a full teaching day, get my guitar, and then drive to Portland, and then get in line so that you could put your name in a glass jar kind of thing, and then they were going to pull your name at random, so you could play right at the start, or you're playing at like 11, and it was just so taxing. So like you're physically exhausted, but then you still need to make it worth your time. You're like, I really want to show up and mean these things, but it might only mean something to me. So does it matter that I'm going to these things at all? But yeah, that last one that I went to, the Goodfoot, the guy who played after me, couldn't finish his songs because he was so drunk.
Oh, nice.
He'd just been sitting there and drinking to wait for his moment. And the poor guy just, yeah.
Those kind of places give you a lot of opportunity to bail.
Oh, yeah.
Too. So I feel like hanging in actually is like, it's good.
No, it's
character building.
It did feel character building. It also was like, I mean to do this, but I can't do it like this forever.
Yeah.
Like I will expire. Like I will, yeah. At some point I will not have it in me.
Yeah, you don't want to sit there for 3 hours and then play your songs at the end maybe.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm really glad that season is different now.
Yeah.
Or the way I do music is different now.
Even, I don't know, even if you can't really remember that night, that open mic specifically, what do you feel like has changed for you as a songwriter since that time, and what do you feel like maybe has stayed the same?
Oh my gosh, Dan, that's such a great question. Thank you for asking that question.
Yeah, you're welcome. I put a lot of thought into that one.
Thank you. I'm trying to use my radio voice. Well, no, so much has changed. I don't think that I was timid in my writing. Like I said, writing was therapeutic. It's where I felt like I could say the things that I was working out in my mind that I didn't yet have the confidence to articulate in a spoken way, or maybe I just didn't have the platform. Excuse me, I have to burp.
Excuse me while I burp. We'll cut away.
Actually,
I'm gonna be zooming in right there. That's a zoom in moment.
So songwriting, I don't feel like I've been like that. I was scared and timid and dishonest in years past, and all of a sudden not so much anymore. But I do know that because I use that space as like a trial run for working out what I was feeling internally, what I was thinking about relationship, ideas, fears. I was trying to write as personally as possible, feeling like if I could be honest to the personal world, though it might be really specific and seemingly not for everyone, that if I could find a way to be that honest, that it would like become more universal. So I meant to do that from the beginning, but I'm young. I'm young. I have purse. Okay, the way I said that was dumb. But I was younger, and there's just some things I was still working out in my own heart and mind and community about what it looked like to write in a way that doesn't resolve itself. And I know that I was timid about that. And what I mean by that is I remember I had a patron on Patreon who, when he would comment about song ideas that I would post on Patreon for the patrons to kind of listen to, and I think at the beginning, well, my throat just made a weird sound. In the beginning, I was a lot more open. Like, you guys give me feedback. What do you love? What do you not love? I've since learned how to be a little bit more particular in how I ask for feedback and where. But one of the comments, which was tough to hear, was he asked about basically poked at like this idea that I was like hiding still a bit in my songwriting, and I don't think I understood fully what he was saying, and I probably took a little bit of offense, because for me music was like the safest place.
Yeah.
And for someone to say like that still I was hiding felt like a slap in the face. I'm like, if that's my most honest space of my life, and you think it's essentially dishonest or just like not fully open,
Yeah.
then am I delusional? Like, have I have I like built this world where I think that this is me and everyone else is looking at it and thinking, like she's glossing over
Yeah.
something. So I sat with it. There's we had some dialogue about it, and then starting with that conversation, and then just as I was working out things about my own beliefs, and then growing up, and there's a lot of trial and error, realizing that my music can land with people, hopefully, and be balm and nourishing and, I don't know, meaningful to others without having to like tie the finishing bow on it, because I often sing about things that are really personal, and I don't aim to just add to the noise that's like, woe is me and everything's bad. I'm like, I think I aim to be hopeful most of the time. That I thought like hopeful meant that I needed to resolve the story
Yeah.
in every song, but that felt dishonest. But it was almost me saying, well, I don't know how this resolves, but I wanted to show in lyrics like that it could. But it almost feels like that's an insult to the listeners, because it feels like someone's silver lining something that would be a lot more meaningful if someone just said it as it is and as it was, without feeling like they have to resolve it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Not everything has a silver lining
Yes.
either. So
Yeah. So I think I was trying to fill in the blanks for them, for fear, because I would think of like, I was still teaching full time. I think about my students, the high school students, my nephews and nieces, my family, who are not necessarily all like younger, but they're just so precious to me, and their lives and their stories are so built into how I see the world and how I write. So they're in the songs directly, indirectly, and they're just impacted by it because we're family. And I think I wanted to protect the narrative, and I wanted to make sure everything was okay. So if I address something like difficult in a song in whatever way, I always felt like I had to resolve it in some way, in the music and the arrangement and the lyrics, so that people left settled. But the more I sat with it, I'm like, I don't feel comforted by that, because my brain is going to try to look for the hopeful things, but it would be more, for me, I'll speak for myself, it would be more meaningful, important to hear just someone in their way, in a new way to me, express something that's really familiar and be like, yeah, I don't feel so alone.
yeah.
Maybe that's why I just don't want people to feel alone, versus I have to like solve it for them, because I'm like, I haven't necessarily even solved it for myself.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I can't remember what you asked me.
You
at the start.
answered
I did.
the
Raised me.
the things, you know. But I mean, yeah, especially with like the heavyweight tunes, and going back to our trip a couple of years ago, and you starting to play these tunes, those were the ones that just resonated in that way. That did like make me feel maybe less alone in certain things. And your lyrics and your storytelling has always connected. Like I said, from the jump, from that open mic, I recognized it as something special, or like something that hit heavy for me. But these particular tunes are the ones that like just, I don't know, they'll tear me apart a little bit in the best of ways. Like I feel like it makes me confront things within.
Me too.
And
I mean, and not like me too, like songs, but I think that writing it for me, I've had more success, I guess, in connecting with other people when I've just taken out of the equation, like trying to write something that will help everyone.
yeah.
And I'm not saying there's not a lane for that, and there isn't sentiment or messaging or purpose behind music where you want to set out to like make this for everyone. But in the way that I write and the songs that I'm writing, at least in this season, I think the best way forward was for me to just say the thing, for yourself. And at the very least, you'll be pleased with, like, to sing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Listeners are smart. I feel like to pretend otherwise, they can sense, even if they can't put their finger on it or articulate it, they can sense what feels true to them or what feels contrived. And that's not to say every song of mine that from beginning to end is all literal and linear storytelling of my own life. It might be like a kernel of truth that is stirring in me about something, either like really serious or really playful. And then when it builds out, it might leave that original destination. Like maybe I thought it was starting to be about something or someone or situation. And it starts there, but often in the play of writing it, it becomes other things. Like it's not autobiographical 100% all the time, but honest.
What do you feel like has maybe allowed you to get to this point of the honesty that you're tapping into with the current like catalog of songs, like the stuff on Heavyweight or what you're writing now versus like maybe when you were a little more guarded or still trying to figure out like what being completely vulnerable and honest.
Yeah. Lexapro. Just kidding.
Or like maybe not worried about so much about like protecting the narrative.
Ooh. Probably less about changes in my life and work as an artist and more growth in just as Bo as a person. So I know these songs started out before I was in therapy or before I was trying out different medications and stuff like that. So I know that it didn't begin with those things. But around the time we were meeting, like there was a lot of threads being pulled in my life, and to the best of my ability, like definitely a lot of mishaps along the way because I didn't know what it would mean to start asking questions about culture, about faith, about the people around me, and not in a paranoid, suspicious way, but just trying to, I don't know, ask myself if I knew what I believed again about the world, about the divine, about my body, about people around me, and then ask myself where I got those ideas, and then prosecute those things in the traditions that felt good and life-giving and as true as I could know at that point, to hold on to them, retrieve them, maybe adjust them, and then the ones not, like learning how to let them be and walk away. And in that season, like within those conversations with myself, those conversations with trusted loved ones, and then a few years later into like professional conversation settings with therapy and just being curious and searching, realizing that I can't actually control what anyone thinks about me, which sucks because I really want to. And if I can't control it for myself, I can't control it for my family. I can be really mindful and compassionate about how I move through the world with my words, my music, especially knowing that I put a lot of myself out there online, and it's ending up in front of people that know me, don't know me, that know my family, don't know my family, who care about me and who don't.
Yeah.
And who are trustworthy and who are not. So that is my responsibility, to know that when I put things out there that it could be misconstrued. But in the past I was like, I know I want to put stuff out there, but I want to be able to control the result, and it would cause like paralysis quite a bit for me, because I'm very defensive of my family and where I'm from, but to a point where I was starting to avoid having those conversations and talking about the things that maybe should be dissected and examined again and rearranged. So I don't know. That was a really long run-on sentence. I think the right people and the right conversations over time gave me courage to trust that the care that I was putting into what I was writing, how I was playing it, who I was bringing alongside me, that I should take a risk and share that. And if other people misunderstand it, be like, then it was not for them.
Yeah.
And even if they come to a wrong opinion, and that sucks, I have a finite amount of energy and I'm going to put it into building this and not running after every misunderstanding.
For sure.
And be like, you need to think this way about my family's experience or where I'm from or what I'm thinking about this or this side of the story and this person's side of the story. It's like, yeah. Maybe it's just because I'm getting tired. As I like lean back, I'm like, I think I just got exhausted. I was like, I can't.
Of trying to control
something that I can't control. So I'm like, I'm only have what's in front of me. So I'm going to do my due diligence with that.
Yeah.
And be faithful to that. And then the rest of it, I'm going to work really hard to not care.
Yeah. It's hard not to do that.
I do care.
Of course, yeah.
I just don't have. I have other loves and things that I would rather that get my care than a naysayer.
Yeah. Well, I think also for anybody that is like lucky enough to like know you and that is close with you knows that you're one of the most like caring and thoughtful people like I've ever met. And I don't think that I am alone in that feeling, like amongst the people that are like close to you. And like, we know how much like care and thought goes into what you put out into the world, and that like you're thinking about everyone involved and the people that you love in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So
thank you.
And I think that can be hard to like hold the weight out sometimes of that when you are like that empathetic, or
it can make you feel like make some things a little too self-important, because then I'll almost like spiral down a bit, but like, what about this? What about this? And as if everyone was thinking about my stuff with the same intensity. So I guess there's a little bit of like, I mean, there's some ego in that too, but just trying to just dissect that and be like, am I spiraling because I think that everyone's thinking about me all the time and worrying about it? I'm like, if so, like, that's not a true thing. So
yeah,
I can release that. But
seems like a fair thing to feel though, when you are putting out things that are so personal and vulnerable to you, and like, especially, you know, when you're writing about things that involve your family and the way that you want those things to be perceived or understood, or, you know, like one of the constants of maybe your sets over the last couple of years has been a song like The Prince, the song that you always try to go out of your way to explain because you don't want it to be
misunderstood.
Yeah.
You
know, and that makes sense. Like when you are involving your family in your writing.
Yeah. My family, my blood and chosen, I think, I mean, everyone can relate to this, that no one fully knows the whole story.
Yeah.
Like we get snapshots, even within our own family groupings.
Yeah.
So I think for me as a songwriter, that there are times that I feel like I have this thing that I want to find a way to say it, but I can't give you like a 50-page dissertation about all the nuances and the relationships and the history and context so that you can hear the song and go, oh, like, I get it. I listen to I listen to music. Oh my gosh.
I listen to music.
Like I listen to
know
music, and when
stuff.
I listen to songs, I also you can't help you read a book, you read a story, you read poetry, you listen to a song. That's part of the pleasure of it, is to immediately like project
Yeah.
your own, like you start to emote and relate to. So that is the pleasure and the play of it. I don't want to remove that experience, but I know in the midst of that happening, people will naturally fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
And what's unfortunate sometimes when people fill in the blanks and it's something so precious to me, and I'm like, ooh, no. But because it's one thing if it's me and they fill in the blanks and I can just be like, oh, that actually was not the song.
Yeah.
Or just let them think that way. But if it has something that's like in relationship to someone else, then my defensive little bow comes out where I'm like, I don't want anyone to form an opinion without the information.
Yeah.
But then that's just like so much over explaining. I don't know how to talk without my hands. I just realized they were up here. I don't know how long they were here. Yes, I don't. So I'm still working that out, but I think a lot of it is just I talk to myself about it when I feel like I feel compelled to write this thing, and then I'm like, I really want to make sure I'm clear about it. I think now I'm like, well, then just do the work to try to say it with as much skill and care,
Yeah.
and then just go into it knowing a chunk of people won't get it. It's not for them. Some people will get it, but they'll fill in the blanks and they might tell you about it. Like, I just have to weigh out the risk of it now, but very much so that's something that as I'm healing as an adult in relationship to like family, I'm a little less terrified because I don't actually think that someone's misunderstanding or bad opinion of something is going to be my ruin or my family or my community's ruin. But when I was younger, I definitely had that fear. My family was in like church ministry, which I feel like is like religious celebritism.
Yeah.
Celebrityness.
Celebrityness. That sounds
That
great.
sounds the smart,
Yeah.
like the smartest one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm starting like doing podcasts. I got another one in.
That was a good gap between that one happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one just like felt like the right time. Catch ya. But yeah, my family was in ministry, and as a kid, it felt like Hollywood for the church, in the way that there's like your own kind of paparazzi. Everyone's in on each other's business. It's often masked as like accountability and people looking out for each other and making sure those in leadership are right heart and mind and skill and calling. So I know it probably originated from a healthy place of wanting to keep the community in good standing. But there were just a lot of people who had a lot of opinions and had no problem making really large sweeping calls about my family.
Yeah.
In public ways. And it was happening not just to my family, but any family that was in similar positions. And I think that as a kid taught me, like, I know I want to and I feel a really deep need to be vulnerable and honest, but people are not to be trusted. Which is so, yeah. It's that really probably really contributed to that fear.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want my story to fall in the wrong hands.
For sure.
I don't trust them to deal with it with grace, with like, I don't trust their intelligence, emotional intelligence, sorry. Not just their intelligence.
Trust people to be kind.
I don't trust. See, it just starts to come out. I'm like, I want to. I think very highly of the human capacity, but I also know my own capacity for a lot of harm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I'm like this, are others probably like this too? Probably.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, won't be sharing that song. A bunch of these bozos. I just called people bozos. I'm sorry.
Listen, dummies.
Listen, dummies, I got a song for you.
Undoubtedly, though, you like feel this additional responsibility when you are involving other people's
Yes.
stories
Yes.
in your songwriting.
Yes. I'm not trying to be Taylor Swift where like if you date in many ways, this is not the only way I'm not Taylor Swift. I know.
The Bowies.
The Bowies. Oh, I popped the mic. I don't want people to be worried that they'll be in a relationship with me and that I'll be passive about what's going on, but then
Yeah.
I'll put them in a song.
Yeah.
That feels dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, also nothing you've done thus far has ever felt that like on the nose to me. It always like whether, you know, people are
purpose,
like you
on
said
purpose.
are going to like interpret things
Yeah.
how they are, but it always feels like you have left room for you know, some mystery, and that like a song like Better by You can apply to anyone's personal relationship with like a friend or a romantic person in their life or a family member. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's not like this song is about this
Yes.
specific relationship. Or,
Yes.
you know.
No, I'm so glad that you feel that way because that's been a very intentional task to write in an unavoidant way, but not have to be like the only way I can be really honest is to literally write
Yeah.
in like your diary entry. And I'm not saying a diary entry wouldn't be a great song, but I wanted to play with the idea of like for it to be very clear,
Yeah.
but not necessarily have to be some like as specific as a particular person or relationship. I don't know. If anything, it allows that song to, in like specifically, to be meaningful to me on like many levels. So I might have started out writing it for this one purpose, but there's times where like we're practicing at rehearsal and you're like, man, I could just get stuck in a rut playing the same song. But sometimes I'll have to revisit them and be like, how do they land right now
Yeah.
in the relationships that I have? And I feel like the songs call me out afresh. I'm like, I meant this when I first wrote it and I felt it, and then it kind of got pushed to the back burner and now it's back here and I realize it's just as pertinent to me now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked a lot.
You're supposed to. That's what we're here to do.
Oh my gosh.
Are you starting to?
I'm starting to think.
You know what I think we should do? Like, we should take this opportunity while on the mics, just in case there's any confusion for people.
Oh, yes.
I just want to let everybody know that Isabeau's artist name is not Bobo Burina for anybody that is confused.
This is a good point.
I just think that's important.
That is. I'd never think to
Just-
clarify that until someone introduces me as Bobo Barina.
It's so funny for me personally. I'm sorry.
I just let it go.
I know it's not always.
If you've ever called
hilarious
me
for
that
you.
and I let it go, it was because I was like, that's my fault.
It's well,
That's
I
my
don't think
fault.
it's your fault. It is
It's my
not
fault.
everybody's. People don't walk around and call me Dan Cable Presents all
Speak
the
for
time.
yourself.
All the time.
I'm like, yeah, I'm going to head over to Dan Cable Presents Studio
It's so funny.
to do a podcast. No, I think that the name underneath it, I thought would clear that up, like on Instagram
Yeah.
or on Facebook or anything
or
like
that your artist name on things like Spotify
Yeah.
says your
Yes, maybe
name,
they think it's my
Isabeau.
moniker. They're like, oh, like no one would just go by their name.
Or like you think that maybe that would end up on a show poster
Yes,
if you wanted your artist name to be Bobo Barina.
yeah. But for those of you who don't know, that's what my mom calls me. She'd be like, Bobo Barina.
Shout out to Hot Shelly.
Hot. Ooh. Mom, Dan thinks you're hot. Just kidding. That's my mom's Instagram handle. It's Hot Shot Shelly. And growing up, my brother's friends, the boys, would call my mom Foxy Shelly.
That's funny.
Like
That's
Wayne's
amazing.
World, you know, he's
Yeah.
like Foxy. And they would like
Foxy.
walk up to her and be and my mom would just be like, these are my mom's really weird and quirky too. So she was never like, oh, I don't know that Can we cut that voice? I feel bad.
Nope, we're
No
gonna
one
keep
does
that
that.
in. I'm actually gonna manipulate that.
My mom's like,
I'm gonna
"It's
try
tiny."
to. I'm gonna find a clip of your mom and actually put her voice in.
Or put her face just over my face.
I'm gonna actually message her and be like, "Hey, can you just send me a very specific video
She would
of
do
this
it.
so I can
She would-
superimpose your
she would-
face on Bo's?"
She would totally do it.
That's amazing.
She'd be like, "Could you explain this to me and then just show me how to upload the file?" That part. But apart from that, my mom is a little documentarian. She would love that.
Yeah, I love how willing she and your dad are to play into your social media madness of constantly documenting everything.
My mom is herself, like, she's behind the camera a lot. And then, just so you know, I never force any of them. I do ask. And my dad will be like, "Yeah, baby, I'll do it." But then in the video, he'll be like this. Like, disgruntled. And then my mom, same. I could tell that they don't want to do all the things, so I will try to make my asks reasonable. But I do have on my phone a hidden video of where I was using like Snapchat filters on my dad and just recording him secretively, which is so wrong as I've said that out loud for the first time. I just feel really bad now.
It's a video.
It's a bit like that kind of shit. Sorry, Dad. And he looks over and he sees me recording him, and the recording stops because he slaps me. And hits the camera, and it's just, so you see his eyes turn because he thinks I'm asking him a question, and he looks like he's genuinely giving me his attention. He sees that I have my phone out. He sees I'm recording him with a dumb filter, and yeah, it ends because he slaps it. But yes, I do love recording people. Is that heaven?
My neighbor just turned on music loudly.
Oh, okay. I was like, my
It probably
ears
won't
going
end up
berserk.
in here. I don't think we'll hear it. It's happened a couple times during episodes.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you heard it too.
I should have said no.
I was like, I'm losing my mind right now.
Especially since your hearing's
And I
fucked
just
up
said,
right now. I wish.
this
Oh,
heaven?
dude, that would have been so good. If I was just like, what are you talking about?
Anyways, I love recording people and telling them it's a picture, but it's a video.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just such
it's your shtick.
vulnerable moment to take advantage of a person. Just kidding. Oh,
I'm gonna cut that up
It's
that's gonna be the teaser.
You would not believe what Bo admitted to. No, it's very low stakes, low harm
Yeah.
risk way of like allowing someone to like be their genuinely goofy self.
Yeah.
Like when someone's asleep, I know I look crazy.
Yeah.
My mouth's probably open unless I'm using mouth tape, which I am. And then my arm is probably like here. And then I have like dino arm over here. Like it's very vulnerable because you're resting.
Yeah.
I feel similarly when I'm like, "Hey, Dan, where's my phone?" I'll be like, "I'm taking a picture," and you'll just watch you like, you want your hat to look nice. You like bring this shoulder.
Yeah.
I love capturing the whole
This is
thing.
a video. But you know that.
Yes. But I also am very self-conscious that it looks like I have no foot down here.
Well, it's also going to be a photo too. I'm just going to take whatever screenshots I want. That's the one I'm using. That's the episode.
That's
art
a
right there.
problem. What if I answered all the questions with my foot up like
That'd be
this?
incredible. I love it. I'm into it.
It looks so wrong. Can you do it?
Do what?
What I just did? Okay. Let that be the thumbnail.
It will.
Okay.
That's it. Well, that's the episode, everyone.
That's your program.
That's your program.
Eat it.
One thing that I've gotten to talk to you about, and also gotten to hear you talk about with other people, and something that was brought up in your KEXP performance with Kevin, is just where you come from and how that has informed your music. So can you talk about just how you feel like being native to Hawaii has informed your lens for writing, and just maybe how you've kind of carved out your own identity within that? Is that the right way to frame this question?
Yeah. No, you're doing great. I just don't know
like,
if I have an answer.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
really
know.
clear.
It was just, I don't know. People can also, this is also a good encouraging moment for people to go check out your KEXP, because that was like a very special day for all of us to get to be there with you and to get to hear you and Kevin Sir like talk about this specifically. I thought was very cool, because I feel like he can ask these questions in a different way or from a different lens. But yeah, I don't know, it's just something
I
that
appreciate
I've
that
heard you
you've
talk
asked
about
me that,
this,
though.
and like something I have talked about with you as far as like what that means, and maybe it not being what people would recognize as the traditional music from that area.
Yeah. I think that you even asking it and being genuinely curious over the years has been that's been an act of love for me, because even when I didn't have a really concise way of expressing what I was feeling about it, I felt like that curiosity let me know that you were interested, and you saw that was at play.
Yeah.
But I haven't always had like I said, a concise way of talking about it. So my fear was, if I get into this, this is gonna be, I mean, I'm already long-winded. Duh. This episode is gonna be like 5 hours long. No,
don't worry.
But on top of that,
we're gonna break to put the other SD card in.
It's actually gonna be like edited down to 10 minutes. I think I was worried that I would never have a precise thought about it, and it would always be this wandering, trying to figure it out, storing through, which isn't bad, but that no one would be patient long enough to hear it. So there would never be an opportunity to work its way out, because I think this is one that I've done a lot of my own internal work about it. I've been thinking about it since I've existed.
Yeah.
But rumination can really work against clarity sometimes, and you just get stuck in a loop. So having people that I trust, who I don't feel like I am cornering them and talking at them, but that they're actually curious about it, has been really helpful. Because as they inquire, ask questions, specific ones, not so much, it allows me to just talk story about it till I'm like, oh, that's the thing. That's what I feel. This is what I know. This is what I don't know. But the clarity I have so far is that I can with confidence say that I'm a Native Hawaiian artist, and that growing up in Hawaii, growing up Hawaiian while also in a multicultural family, like home setting and like neighborhood, all of it mattered. All of it was shaping everything. Like that's what was tough. It was like, how did this shape you? I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, in every way.
Yeah.
And my adult years have been trying to figure out like which parts of this are me and I want to focus on, and which parts of these were kind of just other people's impositions. But I knew that like I'm also in the world seeing how Hawaii is marketed in its visuals and its sounds, and some of them are those are effective because they are true. It's just not the whole scope of it all. And because I didn't see what's being marketed, I knew like if I talk about who I am, that I don't know if earlier on I didn't have the energy to be like, I'm a Native Hawaiian, I'm a Kanaka Mo'oli artist, because I was always preparing for the response of like, oh, let's hear your stuff, or who trained you, like I wasn't ready for that. I'm like, oh, the answers I have for you are not going to satisfy your question, because you're not actually not being you, but this random person. You're not actually curious about how my culture shows up in how and what and why I write. You're looking for very specific markers that are themselves not wrong, because I have family and friends who are excellent and hit those markers, but I am not less Hawaiian because it doesn't flesh itself out like that. but it's taken a long time because for a long time I knew that intellectually. My dad has like burned that into our memories since we were little. Like, you are Hawaiian. You are, like, literally would say that, but would also in our practice as family, in our activities, would model and narrate like what those kind of intangibles of being Hawaiian are. You heard my throat?
Yeah, I didn't know if that was your throat
That
or
was
my
my
stomach.
throat.
Which doesn't even make sense. I don't have a mic on my stomach, so that was fucking stupid.
Well, this one. Sometimes the stomach's so loud. Sorry, this humorous break to say my. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's good. The intersection between my cultural upbringing and my socioeconomic situation have really shaped how and why I make music, how I do everything, why I got into teaching, how I teach, how I make friends. It's all been shaped by that. And that disposition feels so, keeps getting afraid I'm going to burp again. It's so tangible to me. Like it's a very loud and clear ethic and practice. It's hard to break down. I mean, it's hard to break down those like behaviors and those choices and write them on paper. And then when someone's like, show me you're a Hawaiian artist, to be like I know people aren't looking for those things. They're looking for the type of instrumentation, singing in Olelo Hawaii, the arrangements and how language is used to describe people and love and nature and spirituality. Like all those things are real parts of the Hawaiian culture. But then there's also things about like how you feed people, how you host people in their space, awareness of how you move and take energy away from groups of people or from the land, what it looks like to love family, elders, young people, wonder, like how to, like all those things my dad would like label and my community would like label, like this is a Hawaiian thing, which honestly a lot of those things are like beautiful human things, but he's like, this is what makes us Hawaiian.
Yeah.
So that was programmed in. So even if I wasn't fluent in Olelo Hawaii, even if I wasn't writing or singing songs like some of my cousins were so beautifully, I knew I was Hawaiian, but I would separate it from the music because I didn't want people to think I was lying. I was afraid that people I trusted within the community who are Native Hawaiian would look at it and be like, she's misrepresenting who we are. And then as I'm getting older and having places to talk about, I'm like, hold up, I actually think I am representing who we are. And it does sound different. And I am learning how to build those things in, but I'm going to build them in honest ways and not in contrived ways.
Yeah.
For fear that if I don't add that in, that you'll miss it. But I'm like, nah, I think that the people who have experienced that, they might at first not get it, but then if they listen longer, and honestly, if we just spend time and we talk story, I feel confident that they would be like, okay, I get it. And I take more comfort in that than having to change. Like I didn't learn the language in that way. So I don't dream in Olelo Hawaii. Not yet.
Yeah.
So I'm working with what I have, and I feel like it's honest.
Yeah, and you're always talking story.
I'm always talking story. You're like, so much so that we need to change the SD card. Like, try to get me to answer a question in a sentence or less is a nightmare.
That wasn't why I brought you here.
No?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
That's not what I appreciate about our conversations. Like, I know that there's no sense in us ever meeting up for 30 minutes or 1 hour even.
30 minutes
We're not going to get anywhere.
Is more like you have to drop off something.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I think it's also admirable that you're not just trying to like squeeze those things in just cause, you know. It almost like packs more of a punch to me, like as an outsider to any of that, of like a song like The Prince, where you incorporate some of the language and
I want it to match my actual learning curve with it. I think it's maybe twofold. One, maybe there's a part of me that wants to demonstrate that the essence of what makes us the Hawaiian people, whether you live in the islands or whether you live outside of it, whether you got to grow up back home like I did and have direct contact with my Native Hawaiian father and my multicultural family, or if you grew up on the continent, away from it, maybe without access to like your Hawaiian bloodline in person.
yeah.
There's a part of me that wants to demonstrate like our cultural practice, our values, and how we mean to interact with ourselves, with the land, and with people is like it finds its way, whether in English, whether in a punk band or rock band. I want it to be a place where my nephews and nieces and then my cousins, all of us who are of the same family and most of us within the same bloodline, that I think it could only benefit our culture and our people if we make room for there being the variety that just has always existed.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, now we see there's like diversity within our own communities, and I guess now that times are changing. I'm like, no, it's always existed. And there are things that unify us. I do want to know the language in a way that it can get as close to being in my dream world as possible. But until then, because we haven't all had access to it for historical reasons, and for some of us, we haven't had access to some of that practice because of financial, socioeconomic reasons. But until then, does that mean that all these children, all these adults, and all these elders are not Hawaiian? I refuse to believe that that's actually what we're saying. So if that's not what we're saying, then we have to demonstrate like the songs and the art can scream Hawaii in the heart of the islands without it being blatant. So one part of that. And the other part is I do want to learn more about who I am, where I'm from. I mean, if you're Hawaiian, there's people are always talking about genealogies, who is who, belongs to who, and related to, and all those connections. Like, I want to keep learning my context, and it'll show up. But I am insistent, like, if it's going to show up, it's going to show up because it came out like that. And I took a risk. It's always going to be risky to me. I don't think it'll ever be a point where I do it and then it's like, oh, she did it because she was 100% confident that it was perfect and it landed. I'm like, no, I'm just going to go until that risk feels like I'm ready. I'm ready to like try this out. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be someone who listens to it and it's like, nah, this isn't it. And I can't control that.
You can't control that. It's not for them.
It's not for them.
They're missing out, in my opinion.
It's not for them yet.
I feel like I've learned so much, just even not asking questions, but just hearing you like speak about certain things. Like, I didn't know that the language was banned.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
Yeah.
And just even the problematic nature of all of the tourism that runs Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like, things like that have been so eye-opening to me.
Yeah.
And
like it makes sense to me why when a people have been oppressed, and this I mean this for Kanaka Mo'oli, but I mean this for people. When a people are oppressed, it makes sense that there's a lockdown on the history telling, the language, the cultural practices of, like, in our case, like hula. Like, I absolutely get why there would be kumu or like teachers or instructors who are like, it must be like this. And I think often that is a response to like it's a protective response. Like we in our case, like the language is banned, the dances are banned. It would make sense that you don't want any outsider to have a say about like the shape of it or the purpose of it, because there's a distrust, and the distrust is historical, so it like makes sense. I'm like, yes, we need to be like approach these things with like eyes wide open and be wise. And history has shown us that while we may have believed some people had good intent, that wasn't the case. It was irresponsible and it was evil. With that being said, I think this can happen in any family, community, and larger cultural group, that fear of being further oppressed and that lockdown that we take on our like traditions can eventually suffocate us. Relationships the same way, because you're like afraid of who else is going to come and rob and steal you, and then you lock yourself figuratively in that house, and you're like, it's got to look like this, it's got to sound like this, it's got to be like this, these people get to decide, because you want to protect, but that protection ends up breaking what you have. And I feel like I know I already said this, but I really, when I go home and I see my nephews and nieces who all look very different and have their own emerging personalities and inclinations, I dream big time about like, what is it going to look like for all of these little Hawaiian babies alongside their other local friends and family, like to feel welcome, to partake in the culture and also give to it. Yeah. But you mentioned tourism. Stop buying homes in Hawaii if you're not from there and make it into an Airbnb. Or I think like there's a Canadian pension that bought out a ton of like old sugarcane land. Okay. So Alexander and Baldwin has like a lockdown on a ton of land, especially on Maui. And that land has like water rights and everything like that. So a Canadian pension came in and they grow like limes and avocados on Maui. And none of that stays in Hawaii. And none of the profit ends up back in the islands. It's all going to Canadian pensions, and also like blessings to the Canadians who are retiring. Like I want them to be cared for, but we have such a scarce amount of land and water, and to be utilizing it for another country, you're like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Or just even the dumb shit like prioritizing making sure that golf courses are like maintained while a whole other side of the island, land like don't have water because of that.
Yes. And that like deprives the land, makes it dangerous, susceptible to fire, and then traditional practices of farming are just being wiped out because water that should have been coming down for one side of the island is being literally redirected to the south side, to the golf courses. And it looks beautiful. It just shouldn't be that green. Yeah. Yeah. And the other side of the island shouldn't be that dry. So, and I understand that not everyone going, it doesn't feel malicious, but when people have asked me, like, I'm going with my family or friends, one, I'm like, I know I can't control it. So if you're asking me, I'm grateful that you trust that I don't believe this to be like most of the time, like a personal affront. So at the very least, I'm like, just remember what it's like to be a visitor in someone else's home. You're not being mistreated if the ask is for you to remember that you're a visitor. Like, you're not unwelcomed if someone's like, essentially, it's like, you're a visitor. It's like, yeah, I'm in someone else's home. And not everyone here is a paid actor in your, like, Disneyland experience. Yeah. Like, we clean condos. Like, we cleaned your condos, your hotel rooms. Yes, there is a benefit, financial benefit, but it's extractionary. And people are tired. Yeah. And sad. Like, all the same things. Like, whenever I tell someone I'm from Maui, I'm from Hawaii, they're like, why'd you leave paradise? And I'm like, I don't know how to respond to that all the time, but I would hope that they would know, like, there are real people back home who reckon or who know that the land is paradise and are trying to preserve it, but they can't enjoy it all the time because they themselves have bills, multiple jobs. They have their own traumas in their family that are trying to work out. Like all the real things of the world exist in paradise as well.
Mentally, it's not paradise.
Mentally, it's not paradise. Cost of living is crazy back home.
Yeah, I bet.
It's just, yeah. I was trying to look for the camera so I could do an aside. Yeah.
Well, thank you for informing my lens on the situation.
Thank you for listening.
Like,
not everyone listens.
I don't know. It would be like if I go to Hawaii, I want it to be like with you and see like what like maybe like real Hawaii is and not the tourism and the
Yeah, I understand the draw of
entertainment
that.
of it all, and like it certainly has like made me not, I don't know, it's never been like a place where I'm like planning to go or anything, but it would make me,
It's not like a bucket list.
sure, I would love to go experience paradise, but like I don't know, knowing you like has made me think about those things differently.
Thank you
And
for
like
thinking about
what
them differently.
experience I would want to have there.
No, I think how a person visits is always something I've asked. Like it's like the bare minimum. Just consider how you visit a space. And I take that even like when we're touring for music and we're in cities for less than 24 hours. It doesn't mean that you're a doormat. It doesn't mean you're not of value. It doesn't mean that people can shit on you and you just have to be like, oh, I'm not from here. No. I think that's a fearful perspective. It's approach with like an openness, and to be teachable doesn't mean to deny yourself. So whether that's in a restaurant, it's like just remember you're a guest, and especially in places that have like a high travel, like there people are coming in who are not from around, like extend patience. Like know that like if you're making a choice, especially if you're traveling to Hawaii, I get that a lot of people save up and they're spending a ton of money. I get that. That is the reality of it.
And then you feel this entitlement to act a certain way.
And I feel for them in that, like, because I know that you have billionaires buying up land, and their experience with the islands is one way, and then you have people who have worked their whole lives without vacations, and they save up, and they're like, we're gonna do a family trip.
Yeah.
And for them, I'm like, I want you to have the reward for all your labor, and I want you to have rest. I would just say that be careful not to equate the amount you're paying to be what you feel entitled to.
Yeah.
Because I get it. Like, you're like, I just like gave half my like soul
For
to go
sure.
to this place. Therefore, it has to be perfect for me and my family. And you're like, it's just, it can't be.
Yeah.
It can't be everything that you paid, because it's the price is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The locals are like, we can't do this either.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Well, I think on like even on a smaller everyday scale, as far as that, it's like the people that feel entitled when they go to a restaurant that they need to be like served in a certain way, and it's just like you can still act like a compassionate human being and not like that you deserve some privileged experience.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you came to this place, and hopefully the people that are serving you take good care of you, and they're kind to you, and
you're exchanging your hard-earned money for their service.
But you shouldn't treat them like the help.
Yes.
Like,
That, speaking of red flags, mistreating service staff.
that's a big one. Especially like working in the service industry for so long,
Yes.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad.
That's a surefire way to be like, oh, again, not like, oh, you should be canceled, but oh.
Yeah. I
might be embarrassed to go out in public with you.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe we shan't be hanging out.
Yeah.
But it makes me think of like my dad. Like one of the times he visited, we went to Lardo.
Yeah.
Off Hawthorne. We order, you sit at your table with your number. I think we were even getting it to go. Excuse me, I have to burp again. I just can't. I'm just burpy. And we thank the people we took the order from, and then we get our order to go, and he walks up to that little window.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Thank you, thank you." He wants to make sure every person who helped out with it, and I don't think that that's just Hawaiian. Pause. Have to burp again. Sorry, Daneth. Have you ever thought of changing this to Daneth Cable Presenteth?
Daneth Cable Presenteth.
Thank you for tuning in to the Daneth Cable Presenteth. I'm really starting. No, okay, sorry. Oh my gosh, so much ADHD. I don't think it is solely a Hawaiian thing, obviously, to be mindful of the people who are taking care of you. I just think it's also a Hawaiian thing.
Yeah.
Like, humans have organized around our cultures for so long, but I think it's valued in other groups because it is like it's a true way of seeing people and their experience. And my dad's not like, well, I worked really hard. My dad works really hard. My family members work really hard. It's not like he spent the money. It was like, because I toiled over this, everyone else has to toil and be like,
Yeah.
feel the burn of it. He's like, gets his food and still sees in the other worker, I think, himself. So that empathy, that exchange, it's not just a Hawaiian thing, but I can't say it's a Hawaiian thing. So when people are like, what makes your music Hawaiian? I'm like, empathy.
Yeah.
At least like the ideals of a culture. I'm like, I learned that growing up in a Hawaiian community is like, when you're hosting people, you host them.
Yeah.
And not like you have to spend a ton of money and do party favors and like uniformity. I'm like, no, not like everyone has a table setting, but you host them so that they feel like they could walk in. Almost you host them to your detriment, where they could just walk in and open your fridge. And then you're like, maybe we need to scale back. I think you got the wrong idea here. But one of my dad's biggest fears was, and my mom too. My mom's not Native Hawaiian, but like culturally, she spent more time back home. So her community and her sentiment is such. But you don't want there to be, you don't want anyone scraping the bottom of the food, of the pan, of the pot, because you know that the most people recoil and be like, oh, I don't want to take from someone else. You want there to be an abundance. So like when people are, when I go to gatherings, it's not like it's better than, but my cultural upbringing was like, you want there to be an abundance of food so everyone feels like they can take some. And the whole idea of leftovers is like a safety net of like, and now you take this back with you. But yeah, again, I don't think that's just a Hawaiian thing. I just think it's also a Hawaiian thing.
I think it's a good place to be too. Like if you can see yourself in everyone, you know, and that you treat like the server at a 5-star restaurant the same way that you treat the drive-through person at McDonald's.
Yes.
And just like letting them know, like, hey, I appreciate you. Like,
or you treat the headlining act at the big show like the person who is running to get people water, like that.
Yeah. Oh man, I had an experience that I hopefully like pushed back in the right way, but I had, while I was out on one of those recent tours, we had a consistent opener for 6 out of the 8 shows, and she was definitely asked to be on this tour, and one of the sound engineers was like, she was asking for something that she had already asked for prior and was like set up, and the engineer was not happy that night about her requests and her asks, and at a certain point said, to be fair, you are the opener on this show, and it fucking made me so mad because she was a part of the tour. Like, and there are like, I don't know, there are fair boundaries with that
where
as
you're
well.
like, hey, we have a timeline, like we have to make some calls and choices, but you can abide by the timeline without making a call about someone's value.
Yeah, and
due to like a title.
In some ways, I wish I was more of a dickhead in my response, but also it's
You're like,
not.
shut the fuck up.
It's not great to like make this person who was obviously in a bad spot already more mad.
Yeah,
I found a different way to push back
You were
against
creative.
him and made the thing happen that she was trying to get done. But it's little things like that where you don't even know the situation. You don't know that this woman was touring with us the entire time and that she was a part of the billing of this tour, and to treat people like that, you know, it was just those things.
No go. Yeah.
So mad.
My head like spins round.
Yeah.
Like, doo. I feel like I get a specific look in my eyes where I'm like trying to figure out, because like you were saying, there are circumstances where you don't want to cower when you feel like compelled to like say something.
Yeah.
I don't want to cause harm in me calling something out. But then if you have to, like what you're talking about, like you have a very limited amount of time, someone has already kind of lost their cool.
Yeah.
Like, how can my goal is to make sure this artist has what she needs.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily to like prove that this guy was wrong at this point. Like that would feel great.
Yeah.
But it might cost her what she needs. So if she needs to feel good about her sound, then I'm going to find a different way.
Like he might sabotage the thing
exactly.
in some way.
So it's being able to read that and go like, you know what? I do think that you should be called out, but we have this much amount of time and this is her actual need. Yeah. I'm just going to make sure she has what she needs. And I'll later go like, well, I'll take a shower. I'll pretend like I'll say the things that I wanted to say to him. Like, oh, da, I'm like, that would have been a good one. Next time I run into him, I'll say that.
I don't know if this will be easy to articulate.
Okay.
But I've already made you do it in written form, so maybe it will be helpful. Can you tell me what this record Heavyweight means to you?
Oh.
Or the emotional charge that's that inspired this batch of tunes that all seems to, I don't know, have this thread, I guess. I don't know, like the record feels like it all really belongs together.
What a great question. To answer your question, just kidding. It is a great question because I'm just being odd. I'm stalling.
What are you doing? Avoiding the
Am I avoiding the question or the answer? Yes.
Are you avoiding the question or the answer?
Yeah, both. Oh, I thought that was your real laugh for a second. I was like, wow, that has evolved. Oh my gosh, are you answering the question or avoiding the answer?
How much do you think people hate us now at this point in the conversation?
Oh, they're done. I know you're gone.
They're like, oh, they think they're so cute and entertaining. Yes, we do.
I hate that laugh. Oh, doing it made me feel like I'd probably punch that person in the throat.
Cool.
Just kidding. Wouldn't.
It's my favorite
Pacifist.
place to
get punched.
Punch someone.
The throat. In the throat.
In the throat.
Oh, watch out! I'm gonna punch you in the throat. Don't include that. Okay, to answer your question, Heavyweight.
To answer your very great question.
To answer your superb question, I think Heavyweight is threaded together just because those are the songs that came out organically in a season. Like I didn't, and I don't think I actually write like this for like an album. I don't write a song and be like, this is going to exist with other songs on an album. Like I'm not, while I do feel like an organized person, like you know me, I like my calendars. Yeah. I like my to-do list.
You inspired my wall calendar, which is a little behind. It really should say Heavyweight on October 25th.
Behind. Which is a little behind.
But I've been gone.
So
God, a bit. Okay.
But I love my calendars.
Yes,
so I
do.
love the idea of not love the idea. I feel the necessity of if there's something I really want that I don't expect it just to happen because I want it deeply. So I will organize to make sure it happens. But something strange about my writing is that I think if I tell myself you were going to write to this thing, Like, here's the theme or whatever. Now build a bunch of songs. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it just doesn't happen easily like that. Like, I think of like peers, friends who are maybe further along or more supported, like with a label or something like that, where they'll go away for a couple weeks or a week to write the album.
Yeah.
And I've always been like, man, that'd be so stressful for me. I'm not saying impossible, but stressful, because it's not how I think I'm built. So I would have to acquire some new tools to feel comfortable in that setting, because I think it's more for me, like I was just writing the things that felt good and right and exciting and meaningful, that were so often just for me. And then after sitting with a bunch of them going, oh, heavyweight. Like that, the order of how that goes is a little opposite than other things in my life, where I like to backwards plan. So like, if I did the album the way I do other things in my life, I would have looked about when I went to release it and would have been like, this is going to be called Heavyweight. And now I'm going to start writing songs, not that they're obviously under that, but that could fit under that umbrella. And I just haven't been able to do that yet with any of these, with the EP, with Body, or with this one.
Yeah.
I've been intentional to write the songs, but then I sit with them and I'm like, oh, I see the pattern. This is a compilation of songs that have been solace to me, or encouragement and like rallying to me, or like confronting myself during a very devastating season of my life. But like with devastating, but knowing like I can't believe that this is the end of it all. Like, I can't believe that this would be the end of the fight.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, I don't know if it's delusion or stubbornness, or if it's like a true thing just trying to like ring in my ear so that I hold on. But like, I just can't believe that even after all this loss or pain, that this would be it. all of it. There's got to be more. Might be a little delulu, but I don't think it is. I wouldn't believe that for anyone else in my life if they were in my shoes. I think I would be able to look at from an outside perspective and be like, man, this is a devastating season for so many reasons, and there's a lot of beautiful good unfolding, and I would be able to say that with confidence to them, but it's harder for myself to be in it and be like, did I just live the best that I'll ever live, and now everything from here is just not even like downhill, but just flatlined?
Yeah.
Like, did the thing just, what is that thing called in the hospital?
The
heart DJ.
The heart DJ. That's amazing.
When it goes beep,
yeah.
beep, beep. I was like, this can't
Flatlining.
be a flat line. And I feel incrementally more, not just more believing, not more believe. I feel incrementally more belief that there's more to come. So maybe that's like the visuals for Heavyweight are a beat up, bruised-eyed, cut-up boxer who's obviously their opponent is getting their hits in. Again, this is all figurative. No one was beating me, and I was not beating anyone in this devastating season of my life. But that there's this urge to be like, don't call the fight. Like, I'm bloodied, but I'm not done.
Yeah. You're not throwing in the towel.
I'm not throwing in the towel. I know I look busted up. Duh. Like, who would not if they were a part of this fight? But I still went in.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's like some wins within the rounds of?
Yeah. And like the rounds, like you get a win and you're like, yeah. And then the next one, you just get demolished.
Yeah.
And you're like, did not see, I mean, I saw that coming, but I did not see that coming. Yeah. That's what I feel like the season is kind of encompassing some years and different areas of my life. But I think that's why it's tough as of late when people are like, hey, how are you? I'm like, or how's life? I'm like, full. Just of some of the most beautiful celebrations and breakthrough, and then full of a lot of loss and starting over and family illnesses and things have broken apart, but just all of those things side by side. And that's just like in my own personal world. That doesn't even account for my larger community, our world. Like I feel like all of it is like that. It's like I have a friend they just had a baby, a beautiful baby.
Yeah.
And then a dear friend took their life within like weeks of each other. It's like, I feel like that is like very representative of what the season has felt like. Like, yes, what promise? And then, damn, that's so painful. So, heavyweight. So painful. That's not a great advertisement. Oh, there was that SubHub. Is that what it's called? SubHub? Oh, is that a porn site?
No, that's Pornhub.
Oh my gosh.
You're talking about StubHub?
SubmitHub.
SubmitHub.
SubHub.
That's incredible.
Oh no.
What have you been submitting to SubmitHub?
Submitting my songs to Pornhub. And I've been confused as to why I haven't been getting responses back. Oh
That's
my gosh.
amazing.
SubmitHub. That first EP, I got one of the responses I got back was bereft of hope. Which I don't agree, but I get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you thought it was bereft of hope, I'm like, in my opinion, I'm like, you're not listening, because hope to me is not rose-tinted glasses. I don't think you blatantly have to say the silver lining for it to be laced with hope.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the hope is just, like you said, not feeling alone in it. So someone hearing it, even if someone doesn't tie up the story with a tight bow and tell you how it's all going to turn out, I think if you hear someone, even in just a lyric, it doesn't have to be the whole song, say something where you're like, ooh, and you like feel found in it, to me that's hopeful, because you're like, I thought this was an isolated, individual, crazy making experience, and all of a sudden this person is speaking to it, but like speaking to it in a way where you're like, they get it, like they're not even just trying to say what you're thinking, they're saying it in a way where like, oh, they felt that in a real way, so it's not just my experience, so I'm not alone, so there's hope. So it's not bereft of hope, it's not fucking listening. Just kidding, I don't know who said that. It could be some sweet person who's like, I just don't get it, it's bereft of hope.
You're still showing up. There's hope in showing up.
There's hope in showing up.
Yeah.
There's hope in showing up.
How important was like not only writing the songs, but getting to make this record with this band helpful to you in this heavy season?
This band, you included. If you guys don't know, Dan's my manager, and he's one of the Noise Boys. And
proud Noise Boy. I'm
that
proud
laugh following it was so genuine and so nerdy.
I just appreciate that you include me as one of
you're
the.
in it. And you're like.
I just it's
my
out of not knowing how to.
No,
I wouldn't even say that was like a compliment, but I feel like it's a compliment to be included as like that. You see me as a Noise Boy, because
absolutely.
My biggest fear is to be like
lingering?
The manager, like
oh no,
in a shitty like gross. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think so.
Like I appreciate
like
that
you impose yourself upon spaces. No.
Like
you do
I
not.
feel so incredibly lucky to have gotten to observe this record being made and to be invited into
genuinely
the space
invited.
And not feel like anybody was ever like looking at like any of the other guys like looking at me being like, why is Dan here? Like he's not making the record. And that
But
like
I think you are a part of making. Yeah. Yeah.
and that
I
like
see.
I could say something in the room every once in a while and it
Absolutely.
be taken
Seriously.
seriously and not like why the fuck is Dan
Yes.
here
Yes.
is like
I get
very
that.
very cool to me.
Cool.
And it was so incredible to get to like firsthand watch the record be made. Like I was probably the only people that were in the room more was you and Ryan. And aside from that, I was there for a lot of it, you know, and some for just the mixing of it and some to like get to see things tracked. But it was a very special time. And I think it was very special for all of us.
I'm glad. It was very special for me. How many times can I say very special?
Not enough.
How special? So it's very special.
It's very
Such
special.
very special. Wow, I just linked some English words together. Hold the such very magnanimously
But it was
special.
really, it was
No, yeah,
honestly
seriously.
like
it was
so fucking cool to
Cool.
get to watch this record be made and to get to watch. We'll dive into Ryan specifically, but to get to watch Ryan work in the way that he does, because I've admired the work that he has done for the last couple of years so much, but to actually see his process and maybe lack of process at times was so special.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
thank you for letting me be there.
You're welcome, and thank you for being there.
Yeah.
The ask was never made out of obligation or, pity.
Like, Dan, we need more food around here.
No,
Just kidding.
no, but snacks are
We need
essential.
more spindies.
We do need more
We're out of
spindies.
spindies. This band drinks a lot of spindies.
I think at the end of it, I could tell people like, no more spindies. but no, it was special.
Because you
It
never
was
made,
special.
even this is the first time you ever made a record
With the
a
band.
band.
Yes. So the other ones I had band, like fellow musicians who maybe I've played other projects with, and or session players, and was incredible, and it really matched my learning curve in a studio setting. But I was always nervous to build around a specific band because I was still trying to figure out things for my own like solo project.
Yeah.
And I don't think I trusted myself to feel like I could gently lead if I didn't have some direction for myself. So to solidify a group of people before that felt like it would be unfair to them because I'm asking them to defer to me, but I didn't really have a clue yet.
Yeah.
Like, listen to me. I'm figuring it out. I don't know what I'm trying to say with these songs. So I think some of it was just the right timing. Like I've learned a few things from trial and error, from watching other people, from being in other people's spaces while they're doing the same thing. And then even just growing up and building deeper friendships with the people like that I'm doing this with.
Yeah.
With Ryan in the studio. I could tell that the evolution of our friendship has also supported the safety of our collaboration. And I know that not everyone needs that kind of friendship or relationship to collaborate really well with other people. That's great. I think it's best for me. I'm best able to show up and listen and give and receive and kind of riff off of other people if I feel like they know I love them and they love me.
Yeah. I feel like we were all I feel like everybody could just be themselves like
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
And obviously that's most important that you get to be in that headspace while
Yeah.
you're making this incredibly vulnerable record, but also getting, I mean, we've gotten it out of this podcast, like for as heavy weighted or, you know, big hearted as you are, you love to play.
Oh, it's essential.
And it's, you know, had some.
I hate the way I said that, by the way. Oh, it's essential. I meant it, but it sounded.
But that's like a
thin.
big part of like
It is.
your being,
Yeah.
you know, and that was like a big part of this record being made for as emotional as it was, and there was also so much play
Yes.
within this group of people.
And I feel like having found people who I know I'm safe with, and I believe from what they've shared with me and shown me that they feel safe with me, that in those spaces where there's a seriousness about connection, so there's not game playing, but there's lots of play.
Yeah.
So like there's not the air of like malicious or not, like manipulation of trying to figure out the other, how people, what people's positions are. And I think I know there's been just enough legwork where I'll let people know I want them there. I'm not going to withhold that in hopes of having some sort of like a power play of like, where's your position in this band? Are you valued? I don't know. Do your best. Maybe you can earn points. I don't like game playing.
Yeah.
That's just the toying of someone's value, like, or toying with their insecurities. But once you have that kind of safety, plays. I think it's just more possible.
Yeah.
Like we're recording such a serious album, and then in between takes, just dying of laughter. Like it is. I think if someone were to watch it initially, they might be like, "This seems so incongruent."
Yeah.
But to me, it's like it one serves the other. It's like I have some really big things that I want to get off my chest.
Yeah.
In this way, and damn, it's funny when Alexander talks like he's what's his name?
Alan.
Or when you realize that he's counting into the mic. So when you listen to the drum takes, Ryan's like, I think that Alexander's humming.
Yeah.
Yep. So all those little, like, everyone's idiosyncrasies, I feel safe to play with those things. Like I don't feel like people are scared of each other.
Yeah, and it's not like they're not taking
it's seriously.
The project seriously.
There's a seriousness to that.
Yeah, and people
for play.
turn it on when it's time to like record the track. But I feel like when you create an environment like that, people are less nervous to make the mistakes that they're going to make and can feel good about what they're doing. And I thought you did such a great job of being open to everyone's ideas.
Yeah.
But also like knowing
what I want,
what you wanted, and letting people play in that way as well. And maybe not everything made it onto the record that was recorded, but people got to explore their ideas, and everybody knew that the goal was to serve these songs like as best as possible and like get out of the way when need be.
Yeah. For sure.
The lyrics and the songs to shine.
Yeah. I know that in the pre-production with Ryan, so I did some of my own before meeting up with him. We intentionally got together to prepare so that when the band came that I think what I told him is like, I know that I won't be able to map out every song exactly how the final arrangement will happen because I want to leave room for the band. But I do want to know the things that are essential to me. So as we worked through the basics of the arrangements and did some like scratch tracks, each song got notes about like what are the have-tos that belong in those songs. Like I will not feel satisfied if we don't try at something or have this part in it or this part in the arrangement, whatever the case, so that I knew. Like that was a practice of like knowing what I want and also knowing how to say, and then this is the free range for everyone else.
Yeah.
So that people knew like if I'm saying I want your ideas, I'm like, no, I genuinely want your ideas. And not to like rob them, but like if you have like a better idea, let's go with your better idea and let's let people know that was your idea. Because I didn't come up with, there's so much in this album that is, I mean, obviously the songs are mine, but getting to make this in real time with Ryan and with the band, Ryan's part of the band, but like, I needed them. And it felt good, risky because of who I am, but to admit that I needed them. Like I know what I can do with these songs on my own. I'm not saying that these songs are not valuable without my band. I finally got to that point. I'm like, no, these songs can stand alone.
Yeah,
they exist in their own way.
They did stand alone before you even made this record.
Yeah, and I meant them like that.
Yeah.
But in the way that I was dreaming of what this could be, I was like, oh, I need my band.
Yeah.
Okay. And just knowing like what I would want to do to set it up so that they would want to be there and feel good about that investment time. So like we had a meeting before I even like ran the GoFundMe, and just a lot of these decisions obviously are on me to make, as it's my project, and a lot of the responsibility of fundraising and paying and scheduling, it's mine, and I don't expect them to do it. So I do it, but from the get-go, I feel like we opened up communication so they knew like, this is what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it known to you how cool it would be to do this with you guys.
Yeah.
How much I want each one of you in this role. And if it doesn't sound good to you, that's okay. I'm just practicing saying what I want and taking that risk, and then I'll hustle and I'll get the resources and the scheduling and the arrangements so that you guys can show up and do your best job. And yeah, I'm so glad that I got to, no. I think I really enjoy making an album with my band. This is like the first group of people too that I have had this specific configuration like over time.
Yeah,
that sentence doesn't make sense.
For
yes,
a while now. Like,
yeah, where we've made concerted efforts to do this together in a way where I felt really good about this group of guys.
Yeah, it's been like a year solid of like this particular group, and I think it's like really showing now in the live shows with the full band.
Yeah,
like I think there's something special about getting to see these shows with the people that made this record. Like I think it attributes to the feel of the live show.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's been really special to watch and observe, and because I still feel like you can play these songs by yourself and they still hold the same weight to me, and like I've watched you captivate an audience solo or with the full band, you know. It definitely like it feels different with the band, but the power of the songs is
that's good. That's important to me.
But
I want them
heavy.
to be able to like, I hate when I say like so much. I want them to get to exist in different, they have their own lives with the boys and and when I'm alone. And I like that they're different. It makes sense that they're different. You're like, there's so many variables added in with the band, and they're not just their musicianship, but their personalities. Let's just name them right now. Dan Cable, manager, noise boy. Ryan Oxford, producer and guitarist and background vocals. Eyal Alves, love you, Eyal. Keys, synth, clarinet.
Just incredible.
Piano.
Just overall.
Is there an instrument that you're not sure exists? Eyal probably plays it.
Mind blowing.
And
musician.
Vocals, background vocals. Alexander, also known as Alexandru or Alan, drummer extraordinaire.
Band comedian.
I feel like all the time when I'm with him, I just feel like such a goober. Why am I talking like this? I just realized the cadence I'm talking with. I feel like such a goober when I'm hanging out with Alexandru because everything he says is funny to me, but I hate that I'm laughing that much. It looks like the middle school girl who's trying to impress someone who's like, I'm like, no, really, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. And then Alex, the bassist, he has a new bass now. Looks like a little bass daddy, who knows everything about trees, who is a great musician. All of them, you included, I didn't get to say your name yet, are accomplished musicians with their own projects. So I think added to it, it's like I feel so honored to have the caliber of musician, but even more so the caliber of friend in this group, because I spend a lot of energy trying to make sure they know how I feel about them, because I just never want people to have to guess. And more times than not, they will, in their own ways, according to their own personalities, confirm with me that they are glad to be a part of it. And that's just such a gift to me, because I don't require that in order to be a part of the band, but it's such a gift, because it's what I really want, is that I want people who want to be there.
Yeah, it's undoubtedly
like
that
you can't
everybody
like force anyone
to be
to
there,
feel that way.
and I think that, I don't know, I think everybody feels really
I have one more.
stoked to
Danith
be there.
Cableth.
Cableth.
Dan.
Great.
Manager, musician himself, music
Number one
lover,
cheerleader.
tour manager. I can't imagine another person that would have fit the way you did it to the studio time.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Like,
You
even
mean the time where I was just absolutely
bonkers on weed?
so blasted in my own world, worrying
It sounded like
everything.
a narc way.
Yeah.
Bonkers on
Yeah.
weed.
Dance, look at him. He's in the corner. Speaking of filming people when they didn't consent to it. I'm just kidding.
Anytime I saw Dan zoning out, I'd be like, camera time.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But it is cool. Like, everybody in this band is such a great songwriter in their own right. And I think that like makes it special, and I think it really helps them see your vision. I think it attributes to that as well.
That's special. It makes me feel a little, not embarrassed. I get shy because I know that they are each really talented themselves.
Yeah.
So it still does feel risky when I have a new song or an idea to bring it to the group, because if I love it, I know that I'm gonna try it. Like I've already built up that muscle. I'm like, if this song, I think it's got promise, I'm gonna bring it to the group. I'm not gonna hide it anymore. But I still have that initial worry of it's not, they can't like every song. Like the odds are not like, right? The odds, what are the odds? What are the numbers for that?
What are the odds that you just keep fucking writing
but I just
incredible
think like
songs?
there's gonna be songs where they're like, not my favorite, but like, and I wouldn't mandate that they love all the songs in order to play them.
Yeah.
But I think as long as I keep taking that risk of bringing those songs and preparing them, and at least bringing my connection to the songs to the table, that maybe they'll love them right away, or maybe they'll grow to love them. But at the very least, I know that they are of high character, that they're going to trust me enough to try it out.
Yeah.
Because there were even ideas that I brought to the pre-production with Ryan this time that I was better able to articulate, but that I had tried bringing to the table in 2020 when we were doing Better Metric. But I was still really shy and unsure, and I respect my friends enough where I'm like, if Ryan doesn't think this is cool, I'm gonna feel like such a loser, so maybe I just shouldn't say it. But now I'm like, I like it. I like this idea, and if Ryan doesn't like it, then that's okay. But if I really want it, I gotta find a way to ask for it. So there are a few components to this one that were years in the making, just getting the courage to say, I know this sounds goofy or
I know
less
it's crazy
technical.
that I'm gonna ask this dude Nathan to come in and scream on this song, on this record.
But really, where they're like, is that really your genre? Or like, are you trying to relive your high school days? I'm like, maybe. I might be trying to have the band that I got kicked out of in high school.
Yeah.
You know, like, not for doing anything wrong, just because my brother was better than me. Yeah. The more I'm becoming me, the more I'm able to show up with Ryan in pre-production and be like, hey man, I know this could sound cliche or someone else has done it or whatever the case, but this is just this idea. I can't shake it.
Yeah.
Can we try it?
Yeah.
And not feel like he's going to be like, okay, and half-ass it.
Yeah.
He's like, let's try it.
Let's figure it out.
And most of the time we're like, oh, yes, got it. And there have been a few times where we've been like, we have not yet figured out what I'm trying to ask for, and it's a miss.
Yeah.
We abandon it for now.
It's the beautiful like trust that you have.
You used your hands when you said that.
It's the beautiful trust
It's
you
the
have
beautiful
with him
trust that
to
we have
like
with Roy in
bring your
Oxford.
ideas out into the world.
Yes.
Pretty cool, dude. Pretty fucking cool record that you made. I'm very, I don't know. I feel like I've said it a few times that this is the record that this is my album of the year for sure, and I've been waiting for it to come out, and I've listened to it a lot, even though it's not available. It's only.
What's your favorite song?
Oh, that's too hard.
Is that a bad question?
It's too hard.
Man, I don't know podcasts, so that was
no. It's.
that was
I think it's just. It's. I don't know. Boys and Friends really like sticks out to me heavy, and I know that was a late edition.
Mm-hmm.
But I think overall it's just been so cool to like, I feel like I've gotten to hear so many of these songs in their purest like initial idea form, and to hear how some of them, like what they became throughout the process, and even some moments of like not understanding how things were going to work. Like All My Friends.
Oh my gosh.
I know that was like a puzzle.
Get trashed.
I know it was a puzzle to like figure out, but to hear what came to be in its recorded form on this heavyweight record is so cool, and just the way it came together, and
people were really patient too with I think my fear too is like if I didn't have a concise roadmap for a song, I think this is beyond like the studio and the band, but probably an insecurity that I need to address and figure out what the root of it is, and is that people are gonna get impatient with me and stop paying attention, lose focus, or just be like, you took too long, moving on. And so I think some of that wanting clarity or a plan is so that sometimes comes from this fear of, if I don't come to the table and be like, this is where we're going, that they'll be like confused, or there just won't be enough information, and I'll lose their attention, and then I won't have the opportunity. So what a relief to do all this work and then come to the table, and there were definitely moments that you can't anticipate where you're like, I thought this was what the song needed. And like for All My Friends, and we're playing it, I'm like, I can't put my finger on it, but it's a miss. And then to hear Ryan be like, yeah, I'm frustrated with it too, and then try not to like, because these songs are so personal, be like, oh no,
well, there's
like what's wrong with me? Like it's hard not to be like, what's wrong with me? And then sitting on it and then coming back with like little sound bites to show the group. And I was so insecure that they were gonna be like, this is what you brought to the table to give us direction. And then to play it and then be like, so this is what I'm thinking, guys, this and this, and to watch all of them be like, yeah, let's try it. I'm like, oh, you didn't leave the band between the last session and now. I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful.
Just the willingness of, there was a couple songs from like maybe that first week of recording. It was like, guys, we're going to just re-record. We're
Like
going to
Better
start
By
from
You.
scratch.
We played that live show in Seattle after KEXP. And then talking to Ryan after that, and he's like, what do you think? I think we should bring the band back in and record it all over again. And my first instinct was, yes, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I loved how we rearranged it for that live show. But then the dread of, can I incentivize the guys to come back? Like, will I be able to coordinate all their schedules? Will I be able to make sure they feel taken care of and not strained? Because I don't want to create a ton of like strained situations. So, patient bunch of people.
Everybody wants to make a great record, though, you know? So I think everybody was willing to do what was needed to do, and you did it. You made this amazing
Thank you.
record, and I told you, I think a few weeks ago when we met, this is, it's very special to get to be a part of this in some way, and like getting to work with you, like not only like I really value our friendship a lot, and it's special to get to be your friend and be a part of your life. But to get to be a part of this project in some way is like incredibly enriching to my life. We're gonna touch feet now. Yeah, incredibly enriching. Like it's really special, and I like truly believe that you are an incredible, special songwriter, and
Thank you, Dan.
like I love your songs so much. So to get to be anywhere near it in any capacity is very cool, and I take like great pride and joy when I get to be in these rooms when you guys are playing these live shows, whether it's you solo or like especially with the band, and like getting to watch other people kind of awe over it. I'm just like, yeah, this is the best fucking band, dude. What have you guys been doing? Why are you sleeping on this? Like, this is it.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah. So thank you for everything, and I'm so happy that you and I have continued to be in one another's lives for nearly a decade now, and it feels like I've known you forever. So
it's good to get older with you.
Likewise.
I think we're aging decently,
I hope so.
right?
I think-
That's more realistic.
We'll see what the comments say. They're like, why are they still talking? Also, you have to go to this doctor's appointment, dude. I'm going to make you late. You have to be there at 4:30?
No, my appointment's at 4:40. I'm getting vaccinated.
Okay, how far is it?
The interstate one?
Oh, that's around the corner.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Then
I changed it this morning at 4 a.m. I woke up and I was like, just kidding. I was like, I can't go to Clackamas. Do people get on their phones sometimes during your podcast?
Not typically.
But I want to take a picture of you.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't post it today, though, because then
That's
they'll know
right.
that I wore the same thing last night. Different shorts, though.
Can I tell you something though? I already
Yeah.
posted the video.
That's
of you
fine.
behind the chair.
That's all right. I'll say that this was yesterday during the day.
Making my way downtown.
I do like that we didn't plan to both wear jerseys.
Yep.
It
I
just
think that
happened.
that's also because I just dress like Dan.
What?
Kidding. Dan dresses like me.
Yeah. You're
But
my inspiration.
I don't think Dan has worn leopard pants yet, though.
No leopard pants. I have some leopard shirts. You're my fit check inspiration, though. That's for sure.
We have yet to be able to do a shopping styling session,
Yeah, I'm still waiting.
but I have given you feedback.
Yeah.
And bottom line, clothes don't matter. You know, they don't matter in like the larger sense of things.
Yeah.
Like there's nonsense, but it's play.
Yeah.
That's the play part where people are like, do you just love clothes? I'm like, yeah, but not like love clothes like it's going to save my life. I do it because it gives me pleasure.
Yeah.
And
It's a
that
part
might
of
save my life.
personality. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, like doesn't just scream Bo.
absolutely.
Right now I'm lifting my feet off the ground. I have my loafers and my red socks, and he's doing the whole shakabrata hole. And my pants look like they should be too big for my body, but they fit just right.
I'm sure everybody's wondering why we're still talking, but
I'm sorry.
oh, going back to just a quick note about this record.
Yes, because this is why
And
we're
maybe
here.
it's like existed perhaps in other recordings.
Okay.
You can tell me, but I think that you did a really great job of incorporating some of the play into the record,
Yes.
especially like goofy things like actually starting the song off like duh, 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 like those little things, and like some
Yeah.
of the little moments I think give the record character.
Like there's a little reprieve of the
Yeah.
seriousness that
Yeah,
reminds
for
you
sure.
like, that people are many things.
Yeah, and that while making this heavy record, you were having fun with your friends making it. So,
I probably should say something about what you reminded me of by saying that the features
yes,
in it.
please do.
So Vaughn Kimmons, Nathan Winchell, Coco Noel, Jacob Miller, and Andy Zook all contributed voices and like spoken word, yelling, screaming, and some guitar. and what's the
Some percussion.
some percussion
Yeah.
xylophone.
Yeah, I think that
Is that what the
that's a part of percussion. I believe. Was that Andy? that
Andy.
did the
I have to-
percussion auxiliary
Yeah,
stuff.
and it was, I think that like bringing in the right people for their, not just for their musical contribution, but for their company, it felt really important.
Yeah.
And people who know, who share, have shared life with me in a way where I know that I will look back however many years, maybe I'll never make another album, and I'll be like, it is really nice to have that community of voices built into it.
Yeah, all people that know what this season in your life has been like to some degree as well.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. Just kidding. I like after like 2 hours, I'm like, I guess that's
And
it.
that's all I have to say after 2.5 hours.
That reminds me of like going through fast food drive-throughs and making your order and ordering like the whole menu. They're like, anything else? You're like, that's it.
I guess I like podcasting.
I think I'm really starting like this podcasting thing. Oh my gosh.
Very proud of you.
Thank you.
Beautiful songs.
Thank you.
Everybody's like, God damn it, we know. You like the songs. Okay, great.
Shut up.
I'll say it in the intro, but if you make it this far, December 7th is going to be the album release
Please
show
go.
here in Portland, Oregon at the Showdown with Annie and the before mentioned Ryan Oxford will be doing a solo set, which will be really special, and can't encourage people enough to go to that show, buy a vinyl record, or just share this record with somebody.
Just share
whether it's on your social media or just by word of mouth to a friend. Listen to it front to back. Take the time. Beautiful collection of songs that was made by a beautiful group of people. So very proud of you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks for doing this. Thanks for being vulnerable and goofy on the mics with me.
Always. We should have all of our conversations. We should have all of our meetings
Yeah.
over the mic.
Well,
Just because I like the headphones right now because my ears all whack.
Yes, we can do that. I do feel like every time you come over here, we do just talk into the mics, even though that they're not on now.
It's true.
That's what we do. Alexander and I do that too. When he comes over, we
my
we
gosh.
talk into the mics, even though they're not
Adult
on.
make believe.
Yeah.
Wow,
This is all
I've
this is.
never stopped playing.
Yeah.
This is the kind of this is the kind of adult I want to be.
Good. Me too.
A good mix of like, I can face tragedy, and I also have make believe conversations with Jimmy Fallon when I have a mic. Don't act like you've never done that. Have you ever pretended that you were on a talk show? No, just kidding.
Pretended?
No, what?
I mean, this is.
yeah,
I've been doing it for the last
my
10 years. I've been doing
a different talk show. My bad. Can we pretend that I didn't say that?
Man, I was just watching I don't know how familiar you are with Seinfeld, but I was just watching the episode last night where Kramer turns his apartment into a talk show set, the Merv Griffin show, and he has like purchased all of the stuff, and he like every time people come in, he just like treats it like they're on a show. It's amazing. It's a great episode, season 9.
That's your studio.
Yeah, this is my.
When I said I'm in therapy, I actually just go to Dan's studio and sit in this chair.
Yeah.
And then he turns on music. He's in his headphones.
Check out my Patreon. It's just Isabeau's
There's
therapy
a therapy
sessions.
session. Recorded? That would be dark.
That would be.
If you were just
You should see how much money I'm making off of it.
Bank.
It's great.
People are scared.
Definitely not
Your
making
life
money
is-
off this podcast. It's your therapy sessions that I've been banking on and profiting from,
Oh,
and
at least
not
someone
giving
is.
anything back to you.
You should at least help me pay for the sessions.
Yeah, I should, but I'm not.
Zoom in the office side.
Can you sail us out?
Oh.
Do you feel good about? Do you have anything else you want to say before you sail us out with? And it's a program.
Yeah, I just want to say.
We're gonna play it out with boys and friends.
Just want to say like, it's really nice to be here, and it's been good being your friend.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Same.
Also, just want to say that wearing a new pair of Doc Martens can be really painful in the heel.
Okay. Yeah.
And that you should break them in before wearing them out in public.
Okay.
Also want to just talk a little bit about how I was born. I'm just kidding.
Why don't you go ahead and look into the camera? This is the one time I'll ask you to look into that camera. I know
Okay.
you've been waiting the whole time to look into it.
Okay, wait. Let me.
And you can say it's a
me see
program however you would like, whatever voice you want to do. If you want to do multiple takes, that's fine. I know that you're into first takes.
Yes.
So maybe you just go ahead and
Well, I think
nail
I
it.
like first takes for other people.
Not for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there for the record making. I told you. I know.
I'm like, do it again. I can do it better. I promise. Okay. First take. Can you remind me what I'm saying, though?
It's a program.
Not eat a program.
No, not eat a program.
Hurrah, eat a program. I just heard my tummy grumble. Okay. It's a program. It's a program.
She nailed it, everybody.
Hey. It's a program.
That's Isabeau. She's a real treat. You should check out Heavyweight. Her record and all the other music that she has made prior to Heavyweight is also very, very great.
Just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, is it as good as Heavyweight? I don't know.
I don't know.
All the links are going to be in the episode notes so you can keep up with her. Bobo Barina. You can follow her there on all the things, TikTok, Instagram, if you want to see her wonderful fit checks and what is inspiring a generation. And we're gonna play. We're gonna play the episode out with one of my favorite tracks. It's called "Boys and Friends." It's a very beautiful song, and that's the Jelly Jams. And we will catch you on the flip side, Portland. I'll see you December 7th at the Showdown for the album release show.
Oh, shadow on my face. Bye, guys. Isabeau.
Isabeau, we talked for so long.
That's gonna be a nightmare.